Good day, fellow champions of inclusion. I am Aaron, and this is the Inclusive Dad podcast, where we explore inclusion and make it practical. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join me in exploring ways we can create a more inclusive world together. You are important, you matter, and you can make a difference. Today, my guest is Krisztina. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. Why don't you just start us off by just telling us a little bit about who you are?
Of course, I was born and raised in Hungary, a little country in Europe, and I studied a very special education model. This is a form of special education. It's called conductive education, and when I grew up, I always knew I wanted to be a teacher and educator, but I wasn't sure if I want to be an elementary teacher, kindergarten, what kind of teacher. And then when I finished high school and I heard about conductive education and I visited this college, I absolutely knew that this is my path. This is my passion. And since then, it's over, I don't know, 30 years, 40 years that I've been working with individuals who have neurological disorders, mainly cerebral palsy, spina bifida, or if someone has a traumatic brain injury during life, I could work with that. So I started to work in Hungary, and as conductive education became more popular around the world, I had the opportunity to have some experience, international experience. I worked a little bit in England. I lived in Sweden for a while, and then after Sweden, I jumped over here to US. And since 2001, I have been in the U.S., studied in Pittsburgh, and now in Orlando, Florida.
Awesome. Thanks for that background. We're watching, this is completely random. I apologize. We're watching The Amazing Race, and I think the last episode we watched, they were in Budapest, Hungary, actually.
Oh, really? I know that they've been in Hungary once. I heard about that one, but I didn't know that they went back. Budapest is, of course, it's beautiful. I loved, all the different countries and cities, but of course, Budapest is my heart.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not sure if this is like the current season. We're watching it like on reruns, I think, but yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, I could be thinking the wrong city. Is that where they have mici, like a sausage?
That's Romania.
Okay, maybe.
That's Romania. We are more famous for goulash,
okay,
chicken paprikash, and
gotcha.
other good stuff.
Yeah, maybe they were in Budapest the episode before. Now they're
yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. Thank you so much. Let's start off. What is your definition of inclusion?
So I think inclusion, it's a very interesting word, and it can mean so many different things for so many different individuals. But in my definition is to treat everyone as a human being and make sure that they have exactly the same rights that everybody else has. And I think I'm very proud of what we do with conductive education because in Hungary we were not really inclusive country, and especially not when Dr. Pető developed this method in 1940s. And his idea was, let's teach these individuals who were treated as uneducatable and make sure that we can send back to the society so they can be an active member of the society on their own way. And that's different for everyone. That's individualized, right? You cannot generalize it. So I think inclusion, it's a wonderful word, general word, but we must individualize it. Because if we don't, we can make bigger harm than help. And I could have so many different examples, but I think that's my definition. Treat everyone as a human being.
Yeah, I love that definition. Thank you. Do you want to maybe what is the conductive education method and what are the benefits? Want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure, absolutely. So it was, as I said, it was developed in the 1940s, and Dr. Petu, he was a medical doctor and went to a hospital, and he saw a totally separated room full with kids who have neurological or had neurological disorders. And he said he would love to teach them if they allow him. And so he studied his methodology using his methodology with these individuals. And his idea was, even though they have a brain damage, they are still able to learn. However, we have to teach them. So whatever we learn in the first few years in our life automatically, all those gross motor skills, fine motor skills, social communication, we must teach that to these individuals. And teaching is so different when we're treating someone with therapy. We are learning all the time. I will learn something new today. You will learn something new today. Never stops. And just because someone is not communicating the way we do, or someone doesn't use gross motor skills the way we do, still can learn. And we have to find a way to teach them. So that's how it started. And as I said, the goal was to send them back to the society so they can be active member of the society. And this is a kind of an active lifestyle for individuals who have physical disabilities or unique abilities. And that's how it started in Hungary. And I think around the 1980s, it spread around the countries in Europe, very, very popular in England, I would say, and then in the US. So in 2001, for example, the Conductive Education Center of Orlando, SICO, opened when one family had a child with physical disabilities and learned about conductive education.
So, like, how many different places schools or whatever do you call it? Do you call it a school or what do you call your?
So it's so many different ways you can do actually or practice conductive education. Because it's education, we always emphasize the group setting because we are social and we learn better in a group setting. You know, we can motivate each other. We can see what others can do and that will motivate each other. So that's very important. So, but in Hungary, for example, it's a year-round school program. Where I worked in Sweden, for example, it was block program. Every month we had new clients. Here at SICO, we are one of the largest school day program I think in the US, I would say in North America, but I just want to make sure definitely in the US. And, but most of the programs, they were funded by parents and they run like block programs, summer programs. So many different ways you can do. There are few centers in the US. Unfortunately, after COVID, the number of the centers decreased because it was hard to keep up with funding and everything.
Yeah, thank you for that. Because I've never heard of this before, so I was just curious how
Absolutely
popular it is. So yeah, for sure. So how did you said it was started by a family? How did they hear about it, or how did they find out about it?
So that's a very cool story because so Joseph Raymond, he was born. He is 30 years. He was 30 years or this year, so 30 years ago. And he was born premature, very premature, different medical conditions, and the family started with the regular therapy, early intervention, and the different methods that were available. But Vicky Raymond, mom, family was from Hungary, so they heard about conductive education. And Joe Raymond, the father, decided to bring conductive education here to Florida. So they hired one conductive ed teacher from Hungary for a summer camp. And the result was so impressive that they right away decided to run a year-round program starting in 2001 September. It was great. We started with 6 students in 2001, and today we have way more. We have about 60 students and participants in our program. We run different programs, so that's how it started in Florida.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's so what would like a typical day look like in your program? I mean, does it look similar to school, or like how does it run, or what do you guys do?
So in our center, so we run different programs. We have the early childhood program, of course. That's more for parents. We want to teach the parents all the techniques that we use to make those kids as active as possible. And it's not that hard as we think, but because sometimes parents come to us with news from the medical team that your child never going to do this, your child never going to be able to achieve that milestone. We have to change that attitude. We have to change that perception. So we like to start as early as possible and teach all the skills so their kids can be as independent as they can be. And then we have the school day program. The school day program runs from August to May. And we have special education teachers and conductive education teachers. And just like any other school, arrival is around 8:30 or 9 o'clock. And our kids, they have a little group time. Of course, we implement every skills they learn right into their daily schedule. So if someone can just grab something and stretch their arm out, that movement is going to be used when we take them to the cafeteria and they have to put their lunch bag in the refrigerator. Very simple thing, very important thing. Simple for us, very important for them. So everything that they learn, we try to implement in the daily routine. So they go through different task series where they exercise, and then they spend time with their special ed teacher. So everything that they body and mind would need is provided at SECO. And that program runs till age 22. And after age 22, we have the adult program where we focus on life skills.
Yeah, that's great. You kind of talked a little bit about, you kind of integrate the stuff they need into their daily routine. Is there exercises or things? So what do you kind of teach the parents to do at home that kind of, so they're kind of doing the same things that school is doing?
Absolutely. So when parents come and it takes a while to have them understand doing something for someone or doing something with someone is different. If we talk about early childhood, right? If a child with, for example, diagnosed with cerebral palsy, we know there are some symptoms that will limit this child's movement and development. So instead of for example, when you have to change a diaper, instead of to just take the child and roll over like this, you can actually facilitate that movement. It's okay if the child is not able to do it, but we can teach the way. And if we do day after day and we practice it, the brain is going to find a way to find the different pathways to the muscles, and eventually that child is going to be able to learn.
Yeah, is that kind of what it is about? Like trying to open up new pathways to the brain between the muscles? Is that all what it's about?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, the everyday, movement and the everyday practice and repetition is very important, because, conductive education, the method relies on neuroplasticity. And, we know that neuroplasticity is the greatest at the early ages. We still have some, but neuroplasticity is only working if we stimulate the brain. Just doing something, it's not going to stimulate the brain. But if I do something because I have a goal, that's a totally different wires, totally different activity in the brain.
Yeah, that's great. So I have a daughter. She's 23. Her name is Cecilia. We call her Cece, but she's been diagnosed with cerebral palsy and epilepsy. So when we found out she was having seizures at 3 months. The only thing they really told us is she had a brain injury before, during, or after birth, which is not very clear on what. So we never really found out what it was, but like what you said about, integrating stuff throughout her day, because she qualified under severely multiply impaired, so we had all the therapy and stuff in school, and it was take her out for this and take her out for that, and I eventually got to the point like, can't she just do these, integrate some of these movements or exercises into her, throughout the day instead of having to pull her out to do that? So that makes a lot of sense to me, to try to find natural ways to like do these things instead of, pulling out or doing making it more work to get that same thing. So that makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely. And I think, parents, they have the biggest role in all of this, right? Because, your child, and, you know what Sissy is able to do, and you knew and you had the trust that you can actually teach her so many different things. And the one thing that you said, it's very important to put it in their daily routine, because if we don't practice, it's just going to be some isolated something in somewhere. But if we don't show how to use an actual movement in a daily routine, then it's not gonna set. We're not gonna be able to master that skill. So I think parents have the biggest role on this, and to make sure that everyone around their child is aware their child's potentials, because they have so much potentials. And one of the biggest mistake that I see with even with professionals working with individuals with unique abilities, that for example, the communication, just because they don't communicate, it doesn't mean they don't understand. And just because they don't communicate verbally, it doesn't mean they cannot communicate with different ways.
Yeah, for sure. CC is, she's verbal, but like if I can understand her pretty well, you maybe not, because you're not used to like what she says. But you know that like all the testing in school is like verbal or fine motors, so she's not really good at either one of them. So the test scores always come back not low, but it's like then the same week she would use like a pretty complicated word in context, and you're like, I'm like, how, like what the heck is that? But so we had those glimpses of like, she's understanding stuff. And she just said that sentence with that word I've never heard her say before, and it was in the right spot and made sense. So you could see glimpses. It's just, like you said, it's hard to, you can't really, the tests that are out there don't show that. So it gets a little frustrating. But like you said, as a parent, it's a good thing to relay to, her team, like, hey, this is what she said at home, or, try to show that as well. So it's interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think here in the US, and maybe other countries, the technology is so advanced now. So families who have a child who is nonverbal have access to technology communication devices. And I think so many times when I meet parents with a little one, and usually one of the most common question is, will my child ever going to be able to walk? Because that's a very important skill. And I would say to the families, sometimes I say, well, of course I cannot answer that question, but let's not focus on just one skill. Let's focus on the whole person, because that's the most important, and bring out as much as we can with communication, with fine motor skills, with gross motor skills, with social skills. So when we talk about inclusion, we can include them.
Yeah, for sure. So how do parents find your organization?
So it's probably just social media and word of mouth. Families refer SECO to other families. Most of the families here go to see the same doctors, go to the same doctor's office. So that's how they hear about us. We have some medical professionals who would recommend SECO, but because it's not a therapy, it's an educational model. And sometimes parents don't have the insurance, or actually we don't accept insurance, and they don't have insurance. They don't know how to pay for it, or the medical team don't know how SECO can be paid for. So sometimes they don't recommend SECO, but usually it's parents to parents and the social media.
Yeah, that makes sense. So is this paid for primarily through like the school will pay for it if the child they think they need to go there, or is it more private pay, or how's it paid for?
So it's Florida is a school choice state. So we do have access to a scholarship. It's called Family Empowerment Scholarship for Unique Abilities. And under this scholarship, the parents have the opportunity to take the kid out from the public system and send the child to a private school of their choice. And then that private school will receive the funding. And we have some families who relocate from other countries, from other states, so they can be part of the SECO program. And lately, the Family Empowerment Scholarship was actually widened a little bit more. So families who relocate from other states, they have access not right away, but within a year to this funding, so they can send their kids to SECO.
That's interesting. Yeah, we don't have that in Minnesota, so that's interesting though. Cool.
Yeah.
What is one tip you can share to help our listeners be more inclusive today? So just something anybody can start doing today to be more inclusive.
This is a really good question, and I wish I have all the tips. But as I said, for me, communication is very important, and I see that so many times when we meet someone who is sitting in a wheelchair, for example, and not necessarily um, communicates verbally with words, then we tend to talk to the person who who is with the person, not to the person. And we're talking about them. So many times we go to IEP meetings, and then, so I want Sissy to do this, and nobody is really looking at Sissy, right? But we are talking about her. So just because someone is sitting in a wheelchair, just because someone doesn't have the same way to communicate as we do, make sure we treat them as they are there. They are there. So let's include them in that conversation. And I think once we include them in that conversation, then we can include them in so many other things. But that's my recommendation. For example, so many times individuals get a little bit, frightened to behave around individuals who are not the same. And I think that's the way. Let's just talk to them.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I love that. If there's one thing you hope listeners can take away from your story, what would it be?
I think for me, I worked with so many individuals with cerebral palsy, and I heard so many stories from families. And one thing is just never give up. Always just keep going, and make sure that parents and professionals are aware of the potentials, and never ever underestimate one little achievement. For example, I used to work with a family in Pittsburgh where a child was not born with cerebral palsy, had a tragic accident, and was severely physically limited. And we taught this child to roll over. And the mom came to me and said, "Krisztina, my child rolled over last night. Do you know what does it mean?" And I said, "She can roll over." And she said, No, that means that I can sleep through the night. I don't have to wake up, get up, and roll her over, because now she can roll over. She can change her position during the night. One tiny little skill has so much impact on a family's life. So just keep going. Learning always occurs.
Yeah, that's a great story. Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, we think it's such a small thing, but like as the mother shared, it means she gets more sleep at night. So that's a big thing.
Absolutely. And we never know, if you are not with the family, even though we try to listen to the family. I think at SECO we are very family friendly, and we have open doors, and we invite families to observe. But I think it's something that we don't know what's going on outside of SECO in the children's home. So it's very important. And one other thing, sometimes I feel that after age 22, something shifts, and it's like nobody is really care about these individuals as much as they did before, when they had school, when they had early intervention, when they were tiny. And we save these these little ones so early, from just like Joseph was born 25 weeks, and we do so much work. And then when they reach age 22, something happens. And I just want to say, don't stop. That's just an age. That's why we have the adult program. All of our adults are above age 22, and they have the greatest time at Seiko. So age doesn't really mean anything.
Yeah, for sure. It does. Yeah. I mean, CC is 23 and it's, yeah, after the school stuff's done, there's way less resources, way less things going on. So there's kind of a drop off there for sure. Yeah. Where's the best place for everybody to connect with you?
So, of course, Seiko is on all of our social media. We have a website where we list all of our programs and the nature of our programs. We have Instagram account Seikogram, where we post different little snippets from the program that we do. And I'm on LinkedIn, and Seiko is on LinkedIn. My email contact is on the website, and we are happy to talk to families. As I said, we have so many families from other states, from other countries. We have summer programs, so that's usually when from the out of state families arrive here to Orlando, and the kids are in the program, and usually families enjoy a little time at Disney and Universal. So Orlando is a great place to visit during the summer.
Well, I'm from Minnesota. Do you have like a winter program where families can escape the cold and then hang out?
So we do have all of our program has a wait list. But we do have an option when sometimes we have families who go to, for example, another intensive therapy for 3 weeks, and that spot will open. And we can invite someone who is from other state or who wants to be a part of the program, not during the summer, but other months. We had one family from Trinidad. They came this year in February when one of our students went to an intensive therapy. So there are options, and I'm happy to share that. And we are always trying to make sure that our program is accessible for everyone.
That's great. Ready for the last question?
Yes.
Do you like Spam lunch meat? Yes or no?
I used to, but I'm vegetarian.
Okay. That's okay. I asked that question because I live near Austin, Minnesota, where they make Spam and where the Spam Museum is located. So I've been asking everybody just to see what their reaction is. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I used to eat it, and my favorite way was to fry it. I fried it, and it was so good. And but some years ago, I just decided to stay with the plant-based diet.
Yeah, that's usually, if we eat it, it's usually like fry it up and have it with pancakes or something.
Yeah,
That's usually, I'm hearing lots of other ways people eat it. Lots of the way in Hawaii where they do it with like rice and seaweed to wrap it up. I don't know. I can't remember what it's called right now, but a lot of people eat it that way too. So I got to branch out and try it different ways maybe.
Yeah. Minnesota is on the list of so many cities and places and states to visit. But because it's cold, I definitely would not go there in the winter. I hate cold.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me. It was really, really a pleasure to meet you, Aaron, and talk about inclusion.
Thank you. To those listening, thank you for allowing me to be part of your journey. It is truly an honor. Please join the podcast newsletter by clicking on the link in the episode description to keep up with the latest episodes. Together, we can make the world more inclusive. Until next time, stay empowered and be a champion for inclusion. It's not stopping, so I don't know how you get out of here then. It's saying it's not connected to the studio. That's not weird. Well, this has never happened before. I can't hit the stop button, so I don't know. Yeah, yours says uploaded. Mine says it's not all the way uploaded, so I don't know. What to... That's weird. Do if... I think we're fine. I'm just going to Google what we do if Riverside won't let me stop recording and see if it tells me. Yeah, because your side says uploaded. Mine says it's still recording now. What to do for side on? I guess I just have to leave or shut it off. That is weird. It says just to try to wait. I'm gonna try to refresh this. I think we're good. If you drop off, I'm going to. Well, as long as it has a video. I'm set to release this probably like middle of August, but I'll make sure I update you guys on when I release it, and I'll tag you where I can. I will. I'm just gonna hit refresh. If you drop off, that's fine. I'll email Lauren and just let her know if we're good or not. Hopefully we're good, because that was a great conversation. I'm gonna be sad if we have to try again, but it was a great pleasure meeting you, and I had a great time. Yep. Sounds good. Thank you.